Hello, EctoSage here on the Sage channel at Sleep Art Game and Eat. And today I'm not showing you these little drone turret defense asteroid things I built before, and I'm not even showing you that thing up there, which is a stationary platform that I had to move around bigger things before I disconnected it, or this little tiny Sputnik vehicle I made to get around, which even has little storage things in the sides, and a big fin for no reason whatsoever, and all around used to have a bigger nose with a cockpit. No, I'm not showing you that. I'm showing you that big destroyer up there. Now, in the comments of a few of my other mega ship videos, I saw one or two people suggest a destroyer and mention guns. And of course, guns currently in the alpha build of this game do not work. So I always held off on them, and I always liked, non-military vehicles more than military ones so far in this game. But I figured, you know what, let's build a mega destroyer. Let's stick as many guns on a thing as we can and try to put them in interesting places and stuff. And you can see a few of them, like if you look in the middle of the screen right there, I got the turrets on the sort of back side right here. Not exactly the most interesting of spots, but I felt like the back of the ship needs defense, or else, people will just flank her all the time. Top of it here, a little ugly, these little stridation things, but I got these cut-ins here that I put with missile turrets in the indentation, and then Gatling gun sorts on top, and then this is the main battle array of the ship. And each gun here is on its different height level, except for right in the middle, of course. And basically it tiers down, so that way, ideally, all the turrets would be able to fire pretty much that way without any issue. Oh dear, let's not hit anything. Down on the side here, I was originally going to have huge windows, but I decided that would also create a large blind spot, so I put these big missile turrets on, and hopefully they'll be able to point straight out once the game decides to enable weapons. And then along the bottom here, if I fly down here, we have just a few more turrets. So the bottom side of the ship, even though it has the same sort of indentation pattern, I don't have as many guns down here, so it's slightly weaker, just as the back of the ship is slightly weaker, and there's a big blind spot right there. So the ship does have its weak spots, so I couldn't find a good way to put turrets in over there without them just looking silly. Kind of like those, if you look, those three right there are a bit silly, but they're on the edge, so they look decent. But I felt if I put them all along the edge there, they wouldn't be so good. Over here, though, at the front bottom of the ship, oh no, let's not crash. Front bottom of the ship, if I can fly around here, you can see I do have a fair few weapons here. So if you were to attack with the ship, you'd probably lead nose first, letting this area strafe it, and then before turning the ship over to allow that large amount of stuff on the top to shoot out whatever you're doing a strafing run on. Originally, if you see, I have these large ramp sections here. I had those pretty much all over the sides of the ships. But of course, if you have them here, once you reach the top, you can't curve the metal over or do any interesting, sort of curvature to blend the ship together, because there's no proper things. You end up with stuff like this here in this corner, which was sort of like a remnant. So for most of the ship, I replaced these diagonal ramp bits with just normal little tiny ramp bits. What else do we have here? We have more turrets up here on the front. You can tell that this was sort of an afterthought, adding in all the turrets up front, because originally this was just a big flat area with sort of like this one bump out right down the middle. Here, let me get out of the ship, it's easier to point with this one bump out right down the middle. What else do we have? These indentations, though, I did like those. Originally I was thinking maybe I'd have windows, sort of like that, but decided against it. By the way, those windows there are the bridge. So the bridge, like a lot of my ships, is sort of easily exposed if you think about it, because you blast through these turrets and boom, you're into the bridge. If we hop back in, oh, by the way, that's another one of my asteroid turrets, but it's got a large generator in it, whereas those little ones down there just have a small one in them. Let's hop back in here. And one thing you might have noticed while I've been showing the ship is, unlike other ships, there isn't really any apparent way into it. You can see that there's this one little dead ahead docking port here, and that's pretty much one of the main ways into it if you don't have a little small fighter, because this ship, unlike my large space exploration ship, doesn't apparently have a hangar, but it does. Originally I made this opening at the front here as an idea of maybe a large rail cannon or something, but of course there's nothing like that in the game. So after a while I kind of decided, well, how about we make this into, oh, by the way, there's another if we come down here, another observation floor here, and actually there was reactors in there. I'll show you that in a minute. But if we come into this large opening and try not to hit anything, we can fly down here And in the middle of it, oh dear, as long as we don't overshoot that by too much, let's try to reverse up now. We actually have a large array of hangars, or at least 2 large hangars here. And they're pretty dark, but they do have reflection lights actually in the ceiling. So let's fly into the hangar. And currently, of course, the game, still being an alpha, does not have magnetic docking things. So if I try to move the large ship, this little one will end up getting smashed and destroyed. So before I move the large ship, I'll have to come back in here and move that. But whatever, we'll deal with that. I'm just going to put this in here really quickly. That way I can do this. Nope, you're not allowed to see it fly yet. Nope, there we go. I've turned on the lights. And now you can see the frame rate has dropped like crazy because reflection lights are dynamic lights. So they render shadows in real time. So you can see how nice this looks, but the frame rate is appalling. So I'm going to really quickly jump back in here, shut that off. Hop back in here, and there we go. The frame rate is much better now. Still not brilliant, but much better. And actually, let's get rid of that. Okay, so quickly, a ship tour. If you come out of the hangar bays, which also have little turrets in here, because obviously you wouldn't want enemies just to be able to fly into this whole area and be like, haha, we're in your ship, can't do anything. Gotta have some defense. Also, you know, if anything flies down this tunnel, if they're not used to it, there's a good chance they'll hit a wall. Let's hop up here. Wow, that thing looks a lot bigger inside. And let's head out here, and first we're going to go to the back of the ship, this way. And instantly you come to this stairwell, go up here, and because I designed this ship from the outside in, which means I designed the basic outline of the ship on a horizontal plane, and then I came into and designed the interiors of the ship after I put on the whole outer shell. Some of the hallways and stuff don't make quite as much sense as I'd like. I think I learned a lesson that from now on I'm going to build my ships from the inside out. Always. And then try to fit whatever shape I want to the outside around it. But this is basically the medical area. I got 3 respawn things. I got some emergency generators. That way if the other generators in the ship get blasted into oblivion, this will still function. And I have another room exact mirror of it pretty much. So, boom, got a lot of respawn. If we come down here, this is basically a mirror of the other side of the ship. You can see we're going to look into the other hangar from where we were a minute ago. And then we can actually, oh, let's not get stuck here now. Continue down this hallway, and long hallways. Remember how I was talking about I originally was wanting maybe large windows on the side of the ship? I had those missile turrets. That's right where this is. It's a warship. There's not many windows. So, just giving you a good idea where we are. If we come along here, we'll go up here really quick. This actually leads, this spiral staircase actually leads up to the bridge. And there we go. Nice big bridge. You know, right now in the game there's not many control panels or stuff, and I don't like just repeating these all over because they're so massive and stuff, it just looks silly, but here we go, controls. Back here is sort of an emergency respawn thing, because I felt that should be fit, and behind this door is some more emergency gyros and emergency reactors, just in case things go really wrong and somehow, you know, you end up being stuck in here. Imagine if, you know, like this cockpit's about to be compromised or something, the whole ship's getting blown up, you run in here, and you could seal off the doors, and you'd have air supply in here and survivability in here. Let's head back out and down this way. It's the exact mirror of the other side again. So we run down the spiral staircase, and of course you can actually jump, and zero gravity can get up there faster maybe instead of doing that. That's why I left it open like that. Down that hallway there is an exact mirror. Actually, I'll just run down there really quick. Of the other side, of course. And you can see that doorway right there is leading to the hangar where we originally came out of. Now if we come down here, we got some windows looking into the central area, so that would be pretty cool if it was time of war. Maybe you're just a guard on the ship and you're watching ships come in and out of, you know, the hangar bay and stuff and just waiting for trouble, and you see an enemy going down and you're like, oh god, enemy on board, enemy on board, enemy on board! You'd be hopping a lot more than I am now. You know, you get your gun out, which currently I'm pretty sure that gun doesn't work, and you run down in here, oh there they are, and they'd already be dead because you're little turrets, hopefully. Anyway, let's head down here. And so we've covered the medical bay, the bridge, the hangar, of course, and this is the main airlock. So we got a big airlock area here, where if they ever have sort of like you can take your suit off or something, I'd put storage things in here somewhere, and benches or whatever for depressurization. Then we come through here, another little airlock, just in case you don't need a big one, and that leads us out of that port I was talking about earlier. And there's those things I was talking about. We're going to be windows. That big hallway runs right behind those. There's a lot of empty space in this ship, but there's a lot of support beams connecting stuff. That way, if one little support gets taken out, you're not going to have rooms just floating free inside of the ship or anything like that. So let's head down here, and now let's run past here. And you can see these big windows here inside the ship, and that's a sleeping area basically. And that way we can come up here, and ideally I'd have bunk beds or whatever, barracks sort of bunk beds I'm talking about. And you could be, oh, I'm bored, so I'm just going to look out this window into the hallway and see people walking by. There's not really any office rooms or anything on the ship, which is a bit of something I missed, and maybe one day I'll fix that in my next big destroyer if I come up with a better design, which I think would be pretty easy. This is the mess hall, so you can see nice big ceilings, looking out the window like, a nice relaxing area where you just relax in the mess hall. Originally I was going to have a hallway here leading to a kitchen area, but for space requirements I actually ended up not doing that. Here's just another overlook into the middle area. Actually, can we see the other one down there? No, we can't, but basically sort of thing. Then we come down this way. Oopsie daisy. That leads up to the other side, mirrored of course. And in here is our main reactor area on the bottom of the ship. You can see we got a bunch of reactors just sort of all over. This amazing amounts of power. Our main gyro platforms, we got them here. And our gravity generators. There's actually like one more like somewhere in the back side of the ship to make sure the medical area has gravity, but no real way to maintenance this. And of course it's got the sealed doors, that way this whole area here, if the rest of the ship is depressurized, which could easily happen because it's got big windows here, would still be pressurized. That way you could maybe, if you got engineers working on the reactors and stuff, they'd be fine. Now before I take the ship for a spin, I'm actually going to go and show you the sort of like behind the scenes workabout areas in the ship. And to do that, we're going to have to remove a piece of stuff because there's no actual way to maintenance any of the engines and stuff on the ship except for a very small few you'll see in a minute. So let's take out this piece here. Let's fly up out of here. And you can see there's a lot of empty space inside of the ship. So you might think, oh, this will get broken away, but it's connected here and there. So hopefully, if the ship gets bombarded, there's not going to be pieces floating away. And you can see this is actually the outside of the hangar in the ship. Let's turn off gravity. We're walking on top of that big hallway now. Heading around here, it ramps up. And this is actually the big block that contains the medical area in here. So this is the medical area. And under that, you can see I have more reactors, or at least a reactor stuck in here. You can see back here at the back of the ship, I have the engines, which are all sort of stuck in random ways because I knew I was going to need a lot more propulsion that I could get on the outside. Again, this sort of comes from designing the outside of the ship before the inside, and the change between using those ramps and just normal other little slanted blocks. Because originally I was using these ramps for everything, these ramps for everything, and then I said that's not going to work because I can't connect things easily, so I ended up using these, which led to huge ship changes, not enough room for engines on the exterior, and if I did put them in there, it would compromise other design choices and weapons, so I ended up just putting a massive amount of engines in here to allow the ship to move. And you'll see actually when I start flying around that this engine here, because they changed how big the jets are, it'll actually shoot out the top of the ship. So it's a bit funky. If I was to build it again, definitely would change a lot of things. The other side of the ship is basically mirrored the same as this one. Let's see, oh, nope, I've gotten turned around here. Right, we're still under the medical area, so let's fly over here. Oh yeah, here's some more reactors. We're on top of the, whatever you call it, the hangar bays. These are those big lights that I turned on earlier. A few more reactors, and this is actually the that emergency room in the bridge that I showed, behind the bridge. And actually, originally that was going to be offices and stuff, but I sort of went, let's just go with, respawn stuff. It's more practical for the game currently. Alright, so let's get back inside of the actual hallways. I don't think there's anything else to show in here. I guess I shoulda, coulda, woulda put more reactors in here, but then again, they're only really going to have like one, maybe two connection points of the air in the ceiling, and I don't know, I was worried about their safety. Okay, let's get back in here. Let's turn that off. Plug that hole up, because that's going to bug me. You might notice I turned saving off this time, so we're not being interrupted by that every few seconds. What else? Alright, this is just the mirrored same thing as the other side of the ship. Alright, so let's actually get up to the bridge now and fly us away and show you some of the ship's maneuvers. Actually, before I do that, I should probably run downstairs and get that little ship out of the hangar, that way it doesn't rip a hole in us. Alrighty, the little ship's outside now, and we can now fly this about. You can see I got some of those sideways engines there, sticking out of the side. I got a few engines that show the forward thrust there. Unfortunately, most of them are sort of from the half point of the ship back, so that's to the right, just inside, which is pretty nice. And oh, by the way, there, if you look at some of those turrets, you can see the flames coming through them when I go down. And actually, when I go up, yep, you can see a few little glitchy things down there. Anyway, not the most beautiful ship I've ever made. I'm not gonna lie. The original concept, like I said, I designed on a horizontal plane, so you can see it was sort of a stingray sort of thing, and it ended up being a bit squarer and bulkier as I got rid of the ramp pieces and changed that around. Where did I park that little yellow ship? By the way, I did hit some walls on my way out, so there's some damage inside. Huh, I don't see the little yellow ship. Okay, so let's rotate her around, and she handles very slowly, which you would expect on such a big ship. Yeah, rotate it around. You can see the large cannon array on the bottom. All the reactors are actually in there. Let's see. And I figure, instead of breaking this into 2 videos, because this ship is actually insanely tough, I found when I crash it, I'm just going to go ahead and crash it now. Oh, oops. Well, let's just crash it anyway. No, it did nothing. The goggles, they do nothing.